Hello everyone, my name is Muir and we've got something new for you today. However, before we get into the video, I'd like to take a moment to tell you that nearly 70% of people who watch our videos are not subscribed. If you're not subscribed, you could do me a huge favor by liking the video, commenting below, subscribing to the channel, and ringing that bell. It really helps out the channel and lets me know that you're liking what I'm making. Alright, without further ado, let's get into the video. Hello everyone, my name is Muir and this is Starsector version 0.95.1a RC6. And this is what I'm going to call the Medley Mora. So, Medley Mora, how does it work? Well, we're using Pila. In this version, they are different from how they were in the past. They do a lot of EMP damage, and they can do a decent amount of damage when they hit. Now, why are we using Pila instead of, like, say, harpoons and sabots? Well, not only do they have longer range, but they're actually a bit more reliable in hitting the enemy from that long range. The other thing is, we don't actually want the Mora to get close. Unlike previous builds which we could sort of cheese into working, I found that the AI is just more reliable with Moras when we're using a somewhat more traditional build for them. So, we're using a medley of ships here, of fighters, hangar units, hence why the Medley Mora. We're using the Warthog, Broadswords, and Thunders. Now, Thunders are just flat out better than Broadswords in many ways, but in other ways they're worse. Here's the problem with Thunders. They're made of paper. Their hull integrity is 50, and their armor rating is 75. What that means is that if they get shot by something, there's a good chance they're just going to explode. And that's per Thunder. One of these broadswords has about the same survivability, about, not exactly, it's less than, but about the same survivability as both the Thunders. The Warthog, a single Warthog is even closer to being about the same as two Thunders in terms of how much damage it can take. So, what that means is these are effectively, the broadswords are effectively tanking. The Thunders are sort of your first strike, and they have EMP, so they can start to disable the enemy ships. And the Warthogs are the things that go in there and actually deal the armor damage. So you have shield damage, EMP, and a little bit of armor damage, and then lots of armor damage. So, how does the ship work? Well, the Mora tries to stay at maximum range for the Warthogs, which is 2,000. The maximum range for the Pila is 4,000, so it'll try to stay within that 2,000 to 4,000 range. Once the Warthogs are out attacking something, they tend to stay out there attacking it, unless they're recalled. Now, the Vulcan cannons tend to work pretty well at shooting down any missiles that get too close. So we're going to be simulating player skills by, putting this on. And what that's supposed to simulate is that you've actually spec'd into using carriers. By the way, how the game tends to work now is you want to spec into what you want to specifically use. If it's phase ships, spec into phase ships. If it's carriers, spec into carriers. Or you can do mass warships and it'll work. So what do we have here? We have expanded crew decks. That makes it so that these recover faster when they're destroyed. We have recovery shuttles, which makes it so that you lose fewer people. You can get rid of recovery shuttles and try to slap on, say, armored weapon mounts or heavy armor if you want. You can also use story points to slap heavy armor on it to make it even more survivable. We have expanded missile racks because these effectively have 10 shots, so you can make that 20. These also do about 15,000 damage over 10 shots, over 10 missiles, so now you're getting 30,000 damage, if you care about those numbers. So basically, we're putting vents here so it can fire all of its weapons forever, and capacitors, we're just dumping everything else in there, because there's not a whole lot else to do. We could get armored weapon mounts to give it a little bit more armor if we wanted to, but either way it will work just fine. So if that's all you're interested in, then there you go. Enjoy. If you want to see some demonstrations, then let's throw it up against a Dominator. It has a steady officer, well, it's simulated steady officer on there. And this will take a while, but it will have no problem being able to eventually kill this Dominator. Assuming that things go as they did in my tests. But I'm just going to shut up and let you guys, and let this play out. Alright, so as you can see, the Medley Mora can take down a Dominator, so it can take down ships in the same class as itself. If the ship is specialized towards killing fighters, it probably won't be able to beat it. But what about other things? Like, what about frigates? Because typically the doom of ships, especially cruisers, is whenever they run into a lot of fighters. So, well, a lot of other ships. So, let's go ahead and let's give it a nice mix, actually, instead of just putting in a bunch of lashers. Put what you might run into in the field if, say, you were fighting a group of enemies. Let's see. Ignore some of those. Yeah, you didn't see anything. Okay, so we need 5 more points. Let's just throw that in there. Okay, so how well does it fare against that? Let's find out. So just to spare you watching the rest of that, so basically it's just the frigates would eventually start playing keep away, and it would take absolutely forever because we'd have to wait for them to die from CR loss. But this is pretty good against fighters. It's really good against fighters. It's really good against bombers. It's really good against frigates, destroyers, and cruisers. Against capital ships, it starts to flag, but I mean, we're also looking at something that costs 20 points to deploy. If you take one of the end tier for an industry, that reduces the deployment cost by, like, per DMod you have. You can get this down to like 11 DMod. Which means with like 110 deployment points, you can field 10 of them. So that's pretty good. It's pretty good. 10 of these basically just annihilates things. Nothing you get close to it. The Pila, in that case, tends to work pretty well when massed. All these pretty much just keep everything paralyzed. And the heavy interceptors, I don't know if you noticed it, but some of those frigates, they'd have their engines get flamed out because of the EMP from these guys. Specifically that. So it worked pretty well. Well, go ahead and use this on you guys. Go ahead and use this in your playthroughs. Let me know how it works for you. The inspiration for this came from like bricks against tesserats or something like that. I don't know. I'll if I can find it again, I'll put it in the description. But somebody takes this to a logical extreme and has like 11 of these go up against like the super endgame enemies. And it works pretty well. I think they're using some modded stuff, but it seemed to work pretty well, and this seems like a nice approximation. They also had S mods on it, which is mods you get with story points. So, for example, we could use story points to make that, to build that into the ship, and then we get those 20 points back to use on something else. Alright, but guys, my name is Muir. This has been the Medley Mora in Starsector 0.95.1A RC6. Go ahead and let me know what you think about this ship in the comments below, how it works for you in your playthroughs. Go ahead and leave me a like, comment, subscribe, ring that bell, and just share the video with whoever you think would like it. And I'll catch you guys next time. Bye.